Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we're taking a look at a specific source you brought in, an excerpt from William Boericke's Homeopathic Materia Medica.
That's right. We're focusing on Actaea spicata, baneberry.
Baneberry, yeah. And our goal here is really to unpack the symptoms, the key characteristics tied to this remedy in this text.
Exactly. And understand what this specific description highlights, about how the system catalogs things. It's like looking at an old blueprint.
Okay, let's dive in then. According to this source, where does Actaea spicata primarily focus its effects?
Right away, it points to it being a rheumatic remedy.
Rheumatic, okay.
But, and this is key, it's got a very specific target. The small joints.
So not just general aches and pains, it's specific.
Precisely. It's really honing in there. Wrists, fingers, ankles, toes.
And what about the type of pain? Does it describe the sensation?
It does, and this is where the detail really comes in. It mentions tearing, tingling pains in those areas.
Tearing and tingling.
Yeah. And importantly, it notes what makes them worse, the modalities. Often worse from touch and motion.
Okay, so touch and motion make it worse. That specificity matters in this system.
Right, absolutely. It helps differentiate it. It's not just where, but how it feels and what affects it.
Got it. Does it mention any visible signs, like swelling?
It does. Swelling of the joints. And interestingly, it says this can happen even from just slight fatigue.
Slight fatigue causing joint swelling.
Wow. And it specifically highlights the wrist. Says it can become swollen, red, and worse with any kind of movement. It's building a very distinct picture.
It really is. But what's interesting is it doesn't just stop at the joints, does it? The text brings in other symptoms.
No, it branches out
Yeah.
quite dramatically sometimes. Like it jumps to the head.
The head, what kind of things?
A real range. From emotional stuff like fearfulness, being easily startled,
Okay.
to very specific headaches, tearing pains that feel better outdoors, throbbing, and then this really specific one.
None of that.
Pain in the left frontal area described as if bone were crushed.
Whoa. As if bone were crushed. That's incredibly specific. These unique symptoms are often key identifiers in this approach, aren't they?
Very much so. They call them keynotes or characteristic symptoms.
So joints, head. What else is in this picture?
Well, it moves on to respiratory symptoms too. Things like shortness of breath.
Okay. Any specific triggers for that?
Yeah, particularly on exposure to cold air and just a general sense of oppression in the chest.
And digestive issues. I think I saw that mentioned.
They did. Tearing pains again, but this time in the stomach area, sometimes with vomiting.
Right.
Also cramp-like pains that can affect breathing, make you feel like you're suffocating. And this odd one, sudden lassitude, like total exhaustion right after eating. Exhaustion after eating? Okay. Anything more general?
A couple of things. Pulsations felt sometimes all over the body, sometimes just in spots.
Pulsations.
And a sort of weakness. A paralytic feeling in the hands or a laying feeling in the arms. It rounds out the picture. And it mentions some related remedies, briefly.
Yeah, simitifuga, caliphalum, just hints that they might share some similarities, suggesting you'd need these fine details to tell them apart.
Okay, so pulling all this together then is an incredibly detailed list from Boericke. What does it really tell you, looking at it now?
Well, what stands out is that it's not just a random list of ailments. It's presenting a very precise, almost like a unique fingerprint of the symptom pattern they associated with Actaea spicata.
A fingerprint, yeah.
It covers everything: physical pains, specific locations, the kind of pain, what makes it worse, swelling, emotional states, weird sensations. It really shows you how the system tried to understand remedies through meticulous observation of the whole person.
So we've kind of traced how this Materia Medica entry maps out Actaea spicata, starting with that core idea of small joint rheumatism, but then adding all these other layers across the body.
Exactly. It highlights a very particular method of cataloging and observing.
And that really leads to a question for you, the listener, to think about.
Yeah, what's the value or maybe the purpose behind creating such an incredibly specific, detailed, and sometimes, frankly, seemingly disconnected list of symptoms for just one substance? What does this whole approach tell us about the underlying philosophy of health and healing presented in this source?